guys, this is Cinder Creative, and I'm going to show you just a real quick thing about how to brighten up an image that was not brought into Photoshop using Camera Raw, aka if you shot a photograph in JPEG form and you can't edit it using Camera Raw. I'm going to show you just some quick tips on how to brighten it up and bring out some shadows. So this is an image I took. It is available for stock use on DeviantArt.com. I will include the link to that in the comments, or in video comments, and you are free to use it as long as you credit me. So first off, you need an image. I'm going to start out by duplicating the layer, and my keyboard shortcut is Command-Shift-D. But if you don't want to use that, or if that's not how yours is set up, you would right-click not on the thumbnail, but on the layer panel itself, and hit Duplicate Layer. The reason for doing this is you never want to work on the background image, because if you screw something up, you don't have the original image there. So you always want to use it as, the duplicated layer. So as you can see, my horse here is a little shadowed in front, and I would like to bring that out a bit. I actually have this in Camera Raw, this file, so I could show it to you guys at another time. But in the meantime, one of the quickest ways to do it is just to go up to Image, Adjustments, Shadows and Highlights, and make sure Preview is selected so you can see the actual result. That's what it looked like before. This is the default settings. You can see it brightens your face right up. You can obviously mess around with those and bring them up more. You don't want to go too much, because as you zoom in, you'll see you lose quality. You'll get a lot of noise, which are basically the colored specks that you see. Not always colored, but so the more you bring it up, it's kind of just a give and take. You have to find what looks good without, ruining the image. And I am using Command plus and minus, or Control plus or minus on a Windows to zoom in and out. And if you want to do fill the screen, it's Command 0 or Control 0, unless you have it set up differently. And I explain how to change your keyboard shortcuts in the Photoshop CS5 introductory tutorial, which is on my page. These are your highlights. Can bring down your highlights. You can see the grass is getting darker in the background. That's not really something you need to do in this image that I'm working with, but depending on what you're using, you might need to. So I think that looks fairly good. That's a fairly quick way to do it. You can play around with your other settings, and if your screen, when you pull it up, only looks like this, just click here, Show More Options, and it gives you all the others. So I'm going to hit cancel because I'm not actually going to apply any of them, because I want to show you some other stuff. Okay, so that's how it normally looks. Another way, a quick way to do it, Image Auto Tone. Doesn't always work. It actually made it darker in this case. I'm going to Command Z, Control Z to undo that. I'm going to try Auto Contrast. Didn't work. I'm going to try Auto Color. Didn't work. None of those worked for this image, but nothing horrible. And one of the other methods you can do, you can go to Image Adjustments, Brightness and Contrast. If it's too dark and you just want it brighter, you can bring it all the way up. Obviously, you don't want to bring it up too much, but as you brighten it, you're going to lose contrast, so you're going to want to up your contrast too. Or if you have too much contrast, you can bring it down. None of those look good to me. So, what else we got here? Adjustments. Levels and curves sometimes help. That's something that's a little bit more advanced. To actually know what you're doing with it, you can play around with it and it'll probably work for you, but it doesn't always. Exposure is something that helps a lot more if you're doing it in Camera Raw. Here, you're not going to probably have a whole lot of luck with exposure, but you can see what it does. And you can play around with your other settings too. And then there's one last thing you can do. It's not exactly brightening the image up. It's just something, if you didn't take 3 shots to make an HDR file, you can do it this way and it'll kind of make it look similar. I'm going to hit yes to flatten the document because I'm just going to undo it afterwards. And this kind of stuff There's presets. They don't look particularly good, but you can see what it does. It just does stuff like that. But now this here, once this resets, I'm uploading a video, recording a video, and using Photoshop at the same time. So my computer's having a little bit of an issue, so it's a little bit slower than it would be normally. You can see how stuff changes the more you up it. Detail will make a pretty interesting effect as you zoom in, but it's really not very good for you know, brightening it up, but it can help at times. So anyway, I hope that this has given you some ideas of what you can do, and if you guys want to see more, just leave me comments, and I will try to answer your questions and put out some more tutorials. This is Cinderhawk Creative, and I hope this has helped.